Tell me about your experience. How's it been so far working with us?
Yeah, it's been awesome from my first phone call with you. I got connected with Swiftline through Results Driven, and it's been awesome since. I know we'll go into it in a little bit, but I think we're right under 200K in funding, and I want to say we did that in like 10 days, something like that from inception. I think you and I were having some fun texting back and forth, trying to see how high we could go, how fast. But so far it's worked out great, and everyone on the team has been awesome. I still text with Thomas and go back and forth. And you guys have been incredibly helpful in helping us get to that. And it's been fun for us because, well, mostly just so I get to put out less of our own cash into the business and also grow in a smarter way and play with it in a couple different ways.
Yeah, perfect. That's awesome. Glad it's able to help you scale with that. And again, really, it's just giving you the confidence because the thing about real estate is the sales cycle. It's not as fast as a lot of businesses where, you might take, a month, 3 months, 6 months just to get that deal closed. Right. And so it gives you that just leeway that you don't have to worry about it. Cause I know a lot of other loan options, you're like paying, you got to pay it back faster and you've got, hundreds of dollars in paybacks every month. And, with this,
Oh yeah.
obviously you can kind of take your own pace for it, which is great. So, um,
0% is hard to beat. It's
yeah,
and anyone who's been in this space, you're used to if you're paying, we're using it for marketing dollars, but when you're talking about using it for flips and anything else, and you're used to paying 2, 3 points on a loan, and then you're paying 10, 12%, plus you're doing, hopefully 80% plus LTV, like you're still coming up with a ton of cash. You're paying a lot of points. And this, you and I talked about some different strategies for how to use it, but it's allowing a lot more flexibility without all those hoops to jump through. And I
yeah.
haven't gotten crazy and gone out and bought new cars with it. So, instead using it for the marketing dollars. So
Yeah,
trying to be
definitely.
smart.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, did you try to do this before in the past, or I guess like what made you more incentivized or inclined to, sign up with us to help you do that versus maybe you just trying it on your own?
You were the difference maker. I was somewhat familiar with the concept of it when you and I hopped on our first call. I had not felt comfortable going off and doing it on your own. I think you and I, part of our first conversations were how protective I was of my credit,
Sure.
and what I wanted to understand and know before doing anything with it. Because while it does go through our business entities, there is some sort of, tie to the personal credit and the way that it looks at it. So understanding the risk versus reward on that end of it, and knowing that I had you and your team as a resource to be able to help me through that process and know that I was making both smart and educated decisions and not just going to YouTube University and and trying to go off of that. And throughout the whole time, any questions that I had, any hiccups, any sort of issues, you guys were immediately responsive, able to hop on a call with me and guide me through it. So worth every penny. And also just being able to help me figure out what was the best route for exactly what I wanted to achieve and what we needed. So I hadn't tried that process before. We've done private capital raises and all kinds of different things and leveraged either personal money or HELOCs, or we've been through it all since we started off small many years ago. But this was a new strategy for us and wanted to be in good hands when we did it.
Okay.
So that was the main reason for going with you guys.
Perfect. I love it. Well, I'm glad you had a good experience and most importantly, the results. I think you got like 189,500 bucks already. And like I said, we even talked about like, hey, we can do more. I know you don't really need it. So, let us know. We can kind of keep going with that or we can take a pause for a little while. So you
For
got the
pure
option.
sport, for pure sport, we might need to get it over 200,000 just for fun. I think there's something about people in real estate that there's just some sort of competitive aspect for some odd reason that we always just want more and more and more. But yeah, I mean, it's given us enough freedom and enough leeway to do a lot of the things that we need to do. With not I want to say not a lot of work. You guys made it pretty easy and pretty foolproof to do it. So, very, very happy with the results.
Perfect, perfect. And I know you originally referred over through Results Driven. They're a great partner of ours. We work with a lot of their people, whether it's helping them, you know, work with some of their programs, whether it's like gap funding and covering down payments and rehab costs and contractors and marketing dollars, all that as well. But how's your experience been with them?
Yeah, they've been awesome. They were a unique experience for us too, because we had been in wholesale for a long time, but we had heard great things about them. And the number one thing from them is, they had a phenomenal sales process. we had, I want to say, gotten by for many years with, very experienced team members that you were able to get by without a kind of check the box sales system, as they call it.
Yeah.
But as we wanted to grow and expand, it, it was harder to do that without having like the LeBron James and Steph Curry's on your team, where you can't always have that level of talent to grow. So when we started having conversations with them and joining some of their events, we were kind of realizing that, that's where one of our many gaps was in our sales process and a little bit of our recruiting, many things that they were able to help us out with. But that was that number one thing. And then the ongoing support that came with that, which was, sales pods and different things that they have that take a lot of stuff. I want to not say off of me, but off of my partner Jason, who really runs all the sales for us. That he has resources and backup in all of the sales stuff that we do in the company. So that's been a huge aspect for us. And we do monthly coaching sessions. Shout out to Coach Bo for keeping us in line. And that also, Jason and I have known each other for a long time. We joke that we're like an old married couple. So when we argue, it's nice to have a third person in the room to help settle some debates. And that's helped us a lot. And I think it's healthy in any business partnership, especially when you're wanting to grow and succeed. And sometimes it's just nice to have another opinion. We kind of joke, and I think you and I may have talked about it when we first hopped on some calls, but it was our gift and our curse is we've been in this business for a long time.
Mm.
And it's one of those things where it's like sometimes it's really nice to get a new, fresh perspective on it and be able
Yeah.
to say, well, yes, you've done this for this long and that has worked, but times are changing, and it's nice to get a new input, and results driven has given us that new input where we can take a little bit of what we know, build on it, and back to my references from earlier, a little bit of gasoline on the fire. So that's been really fun for us and enjoyable. Couple that with some extra cash for marketing, and it's been a really good run lately.
Yeah, very cool, man. Well, it's been really cool to watch you grow from it, and excited to see what you do with these dollars and how many more leads and transactions you guys can close from it. It's actually pretty cool from our perspective because sometimes we'll talk to someone who's been doing this for a year, 2 years, maybe 6 months. They'll do like, one deal every other month, something, and then almost when they, have the guidance and structure and coach and accountability and support with results driven, and then the confidence to actually, spend that by because now having money at no interest.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool to see someone that's like been doing it a year, been completely plateau, have their coaching, have our funding, and then now they're doing like, way bigger numbers at such a faster time frame than what they would have done otherwise. So it's pretty cool on our end to be able to see that and, excited to see that for you as well.
That's what's super cool. And I think what you guys are doing is cool because it can help everybody, right? Like there was times, I always like to joke, like there's been times where we had no money. There is times where we've made absurd amounts of money. There are times where we've had no money again. And business is a little bit of a roller coaster. And I think what you guys do with the funding is it's able to help everybody at different stages of their business. Whether you're just starting out and you have nothing, this is very valuable. There was times where we were, borrowing from HELOCs on our houses in order to go start our first flips because we didn't have any cash. And then you start building cash reserves and you start figuring out what you can do and you start leveraging and you start borrowing in certain ways. And then you always start learning different angles to the game and how you can start leveraging it. But then you also have, Jason and I have been doing this for 10 plus years. And then you have us who have been doing this, and now we just want to figure out how to spend more and more of our marketing dollars, but not leverage ourselves as much as we maybe were able and comfortable to do before we had kids and families, and we are just like being cowboys and leveraging our houses against the business. So I think it's cool what you guys are doing because you're able to help out everybody at all their different stages of
Sure.
business, not just the newbie or not just the very experienced person. So
Yeah.
I think that's a cool aspect that some people miss, and it can help people grow their wholesale operation with their marketing dollars, or even if it's, the need to spend to keep somebody on staff to be able to give them a small base salary while they're earning, or, office space or equipment or any of that kind of stuff in order to get going, and also being smart about knowing that you are taking on some debt and all that stuff. But if you have the right systems, processes, and stuff behind you and the right work ethic, you have a good shot at being successful with it. So I love it, and I love what you guys are doing and putting behind it. So I definitely that's why I was happy to sit down and have this conversation with you.
Yeah, perfect. Awesome. Well, I appreciated that. Last question we'll end with here is, if there's anybody that's on the fence, and I know you already probably covered it, but that is on the fence of working with us, a lot of times they think, just, oh, I can go out and do that on my own, or, whether it's not just Swiftline, but even results driven as well, someone that's maybe on the fence, because we're such a good partnership together with it. What would you say to someone that's on the fence for that?
For either one, there's a very good quote that I will butcher if I try, but you go farther together than you do alone. And I've seen it for myself. I've seen it with different businesses and different people. If you're on the fence about Swiftline, yeah, I know that I've been doing this for a long time. I You saw what my credit score was. You saw how protective I was of it. There's no way I was going to get $200,000 in funding in the manner that I did, and I'm not naive to that. So that to me is the best statement that I can give. You know more about my financials than most people do, right? So and I'm confident that I wouldn't have gotten that type of funding. So I think that's the most powerful statement that I can make to that. When it comes to the results driven stuff, if this is a business that you're passionate about and something that you want to do, go join with somebody who's been there, done that, who has helped other people grow and succeed instead of trying to figure it out on your own. I was fortunate that I got to learn in another business, and that helped me be successful for a long time. But it doesn't mean that I still don't need to learn from other people who are doing it differently, better, and in different areas. So I think there's always something to be said. And I think, probably a deeper conversation if, can't check your ego sometimes and know that it's better to get some assistance in certain things, always
Yeah.
hire the expert to help you if you want to get further. So that's my 2 cents as if this were a TED talk, but that's uh that's what I feel like is going to be the most impactful for everybody here. And with those two forces combined, you kind of have no excuse. You got the money on one side and you have the experience on the other. When you couple the two, I don't see how somebody wouldn't be successful.
Perfect. Love it. Really appreciate your time today, and yeah, excited to see, how you continue to grow.
Let's keep doing it.